Okay. Itameksistiko, good day. It is a little bit breezy, though you can't necessarily tell in this corridor here. Slightly breezy, somewhat overcast. Moon day afternoon, August 12th, I believe, 2019, in the lunar cycle Okonoki Stotsitsitspi, when the Saskatoon berries ripen. And I figured today I would switch things up a bit for my health break, starting into a new week. And I figured it's an auspicious time to begin visiting a new site. The coulee park closest to where I now reside, which is the Alexander Wilderness Park on the north end of Lethbridge. A park that, in my opinion, is probably the third best the third best coulee park in all of Lethbridge. Why I rated it, I mean, some people would rate this place as number one, because it's remote. It's quite remote yet accessible. Even the neighborhoods that are the Legacy Ridge subdivision and stuff that are up above the coulee rim here, they only recently went in. So this place has been an isolated little park for a good long while. And you get some pockets of animals here that aren't really represented other places in Lethbridge as well. Like there's a bit of a ripple here on the river, and some of the waterfowl that are specialized for feeding in rapids will visit that place, and you won't find them anywhere else in Lethbridge ever. And there's sections of the river here in the Alexander Wilderness Park, which is quite a large park, by the way. There's sections of the river here where it seems like the waterfowl prefer to be. I don't know what it is, but it might just be that they have more open water here in the winter. But I don't know, even in the summer when you come here and you certain sections of river, there's just massive gatherings of waterfowl that you don't see anywhere else. And I don't know if that's just the remoteness or what's going on. So some people would probably rate this as one of the better parks. It's more accessible. You can drive most of the way down. And the paths are nice and wide. They're basically roads, so it's very accessible no matter who you are, and some people like that. That's one of what I would consider like a drawback to this park. It's one of the things that makes this park, for me, number 3 instead of number 2, because to me number 2 is Cottonwood Park. Cottonwood Park does not have the access that this park has. If you're not willing to climb from the coulee, from the very top of the coulee rim all the way to the bottom and back up, you don't get to visit Cottonwood Park. So, to me, Cottonwood is always going to be more isolated in a way, and it's about the same, maybe the same size as this park. Little bit different environment. I think it floods a bit more than this park does, but and a good rattlesnake population over here that is not over there, that's not represented over here. I like my rattlesnakes. So to me, Cottonwoods is number 2, Alexander's number 3, and the number 1 spot, of course, is always going to go to Spopikimi. That's my study grounds, the Elizabeth Hall wetlands. And it is actually where you get the biggest biodiversity and the smallest amount of territory in Lethbridge, in my opinion, because you have the wetlands, plus the riparian forest, the river, and the coulee slopes, the shortgrass prairie, all in one little tight package there. So, enough about the parks, but I've always wanted to get to know Alexander Wilderness Park better. I have had my business here. If you've been following my channel, you've seen me release skunks and raccoons down here. If you've been following my channel a long time, you saw me release a golden eye duck down here, one that I had rehabbed. And yeah, last year I was down here looking for cougars and stuff. I visit this park now and then, but I haven't really become like, this park doesn't know me yet, that kind of thing. So I figure today's a good day to get started. Have a nice visit to the park and make it at least maybe a weekly thing, so I get to start knowing this place better, and you guys too through me. So I'm taking the cameras along. Just at the edge zone here, between the coulee slopes and the riparian forest. Lots of really good open meadow down here in the wilderness park. And I'm headed into this patch of forest over here because I remember probably 5 or 6 years ago, might have been the same year as with the golden-eyed duck, there was an owl family that was nested back in here, a great horned owl family. And I wouldn't doubt if, wouldn't be weird if the family was still using this site. So I walk in here and check it out and see if there's any owls around. Really beautiful doe and her fawn getting out of my way as I enter the forest. There's this spot not far into the forest here, with a kind of a raised levee or berm, or I don't know, but it's squarish, surrounding this depression. And the poplars growing in this depression are fairly large. They're not as big as these giant mature trees, but they've been here some years. Obviously this is some kind of excavation before, and I suspect it's machine done given these berms and such. Maybe there was a gravel pit here. There's other evidence out this way. I'm going to show you some rocks down here that I think are odd for being in the riparian forest and looking the way they do. Let's go check them out. Well, first of all, there's kind of a circular cairn here, and that's just down off of that squarish berm structure there, which is not a pyramid, you New Agers. This is some other kind of recent archaeology, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, you got this kind of cairn of rocks, and then over here there's some really significantly large boulders that are atypical of what you might find, exposed in the river bottoms generally, from my experience. However, it's not impossible to come across big boulders in the river bottom. But look at, I want to show you something that I think suggests that these boulders were maybe brought in recently or dug up. It's part of the excavations that went on here. I don't know. But when I look at this sandstone kind of boulder, and I look at, how still really sharp the edges are here, I know this hasn't been here a long time, or it would have been rounded by the bison, and even the cows. But like those trees, it's been here sometime, in order to get this exposure and this lichen. This is sunburst, I think it's called sunburst orange lichen that grows on these, calcium loving lichen. So these rocks have lots of calcium in them. But yeah, they'd have to be here a while to get that kind of lichen presentation there. A while, but not forever, not a long time. Given the sharp edges that still exist. Anyway, moving on. Well, what did I say? Gakanot stoki, meager ears in Blackfoot, great horned owl. Really the top avian predator in this region, even higher than the eagles, because this guy will take out a lot of different kinds of small mammals that the eagles wouldn't dare mess with. He'll kick eagles out of their nests and steal them for himself. Yeah, I like this section of forest with some of the older cottonwoods. Just the lay of the land down here, you can tell there's sections of forest that are much older than others. Somebody was asking me today, messaged me, what's these berries? Are they edible? And of course, yes, these are choke cherries, buckkeep. Not quite ripened yet, but in the next couple of weeks, as they really turn black, and they are best eaten totally smashed, like with a hammer or a rock, smashed into a paste, seed and all. Don't chew it, just let it melt in your mouth and swallow what doesn't melt. Check this out. Remember those rapids I was talking about that attract different kind of waterfowl? Well, nobody too different that I can see with the naked eye right from right here, but the numbers sure are staggering. I mean, for the Old Man River, you don't see congregations like this too often. American white pelicans and how many hundreds, thousands of ring-billed gulls, probably California gulls, probably other oddballs in there that I just can't see without glass in them. It's a pretty decent sized congregation for Lethbridge. And when I look upstream, I see there is a shoreline beaver lodge right in there. So there'd be beavers to watch here in the evening and to monitor in general, compare, maybe what they eat here to what they eat at the pond, because the ecosystems are a bit different. But yeah, shoreline beaver lodge. And what's downstream, well, we're about to go find out. Getting warm out here. Had to take off my flannel. Some of these Saskatoon stands are pretty impressive out here. There's some really big old Saskatoon trees out here. The kind that you could make like really nice recurved bows out of. I'm on the lookout for a couple of forked sticks, a couple of tongs that we use to carry like live coals for burning smudge, burning incense in the spiritual practices. But yeah, I need a pair of tongs for at home with me and Chels, and I need one for my work with psalmists, because I always do a smudge when the programs are going. I do one every morning there at the beginning of the program, just to get things off on the right foot every day, So I'm gonna keep my eye out for what I'm looking for, because these ones are pretty nice and skinny and straight, and that's what you need. And you only get that you know, in a sheltered area like down in the forest here, where the wind isn't beating them up so much. Otherwise they get all twisted and warped and all this kind of stuff. So this is a nice patch of Saskatoon's choke cherries too, as far as berries go. But yeah. Just walking down the path. This is the main pathway headed toward the river. Here's the scene on the river, just a little bit downstream from where we saw those gulls. When I first came up to the cut bank here, there was a kind of a medium-sized shorebird, might have been a greater yellowlegs, flew off, and yeah, I don't know where he went to. There's still a lot of territory to cover in this park, and I might not do it all on my mental health break this afternoon because I need to get back to work too. But I just been slowly going around, you know, enjoying my stroll here. But yeah, I mean, the park, the size of the park, it follows the river here all the way along. You know, those cliffs that you see way back there, right? That's the those are just above the river, so it follows all the way through there, all the way around to those cliffs way over there. So it's a significantly sized park. A lot of it is just kind of like savanna, or is that what you would call it? I don't know. There's a name for it. I wish I would have wrote it down. My late friend Narcissus told me a Blackfoot name for when you have these big meadow areas down in the coulee bottom, like there are here in the Wilderness Park. There was a Blackfoot name specific for those. I'll try to see if one of my other friends might know it. But that's what you get when you when you get told something and you don't take it seriously. You lose it. The war on plants that the agricultural industry doesn't like has been long going down here at the Wilderness Park. I don't know how old that sign is, but that's that's obviously a forgotten sign. And I know this year down here, well, I saw back there also some signs posted regarding weevils that were introduced. Those are more recent, and those are at Spopikimi as well. I think they're trying to like get the weevils to take care of the knapweed and the Canada thistle. And I've seen some knapweed here, which is nice to see actually, because I like to have a knapweed study area. And the plant border patrol militia went through Spopikimi the other year and tore out all of my knapweed there. So but this year down here, I know they also have some goats. They have a goat project, so that's for leafy spurge. They're targeting areas down in here where there's a lot of leafy spurge, and they have a herd of goats. And I know the guys that run that goat project, and I like those guys. I like their project, but I like it when they're grazing on the coulee slopes or just on the coulee rim, rather than down in here, because you know, down in here really is not the kind of area where in the past it would have been grazed in that manner. I mean, you'd have bison, but the bison, in studies have shown, don't really prefer to go into the river bottom like this. Now, if you got cows, it's a different story, and this is why everybody hates the leafy spurge, really, is because agriculture hates it, because they want to graze their cows on the river and pollute our river. but the leafy spurge is there and it's poisoning the cows. They don't like it. Well, I don't know. I'm more pro spurge. I like the grazing on the coulee slopes and on the rim, because that's where the bison would have grazed in the past and would have kept the grass low. I mean, we don't have nearly as many I think ground squirrels and including marmots and that kind of thing in the Lethbridge coulees as we normally would back in the day. But you know, again, like, we're not back in the day. We're here and we're now, and so you know, nature's going to adjust. Things are going to change. You know, I just kind of winding my way between a younger poplar forest on this side, and that kind of that open meadow, savanna-like meadow, you know, on the other side. The river's back that way a bit. More evidence of excavations having taken place here in the past. This is on the kind of downstream side of the park, getting over toward the river by this cliffs. We're gonna go take a look. So I'm at the downriver side of the park now, and there's a bunch of terns, I think, across the river from me, who are diving in and such. They must be picking out fish. Follow one for a minute and see if they do any dives, but I've seen them do a couple of dives, but it's pretty unpredictable, you know. I've seen terns, Caspian terns at Spopikimi, but never in numbers, you know. There might be two. Oh, is this one done? What's going on? No, he's still flying. Yeah, when they actually see a fish, they pretty much like dive bomb like an osprey. Not like that. Oh. Yeah, not like that either. They usually plunge right in. Boom. We might not see it here, but it's still cool to see like a congregation of terns of whatever kind doing this. I think they're terns anyway. I don't think they're regular gulls, so to speak. Pretty nice. When was the last time you walked around on a big log with your bare feet? there's something just familiar about it, you know. It's one of our natural things. Looked like somebody else pushed the line a little bit further though. Got more naked than just bare feet. Ew. Yeah, we don't really want to know what happened there. Back on the trail. Very cool. Whatever little species of ant this is has produced a kind of a mating swarm or mating generation. But what's really cool is there's these ones with the very small wings and ones with the very large wings. And I wonder if those are gender differences in this species. Other species, you don't really see that. The small wing, large wing thing, at least not pronounced like this that I've ever noticed it, you know? But yeah, that's quite something. So they're just erupting out of the ground, taking flight, and they will go off and make new colonies, breed and make new colonies. I'm just kind of going through this is all really thick choke cherry along the edge of the coulee slopes here. And this is where I was trying to hopefully catch mountain lion last year with my camera trap, and didn't work. But to me it seems like the best area because it's a really dense berry and willow thicket, and lots of deer hang out in there. And if you're a mountain lion, that's your gig, right? The deer. Sorry about the sun glare and stuff. It's all catnip right there. Catnip grows wild all over our coulees. So that about wraps my visit here to the Alexander Wilderness Park. I don't know if you can see in the skies above me, but there are like hundreds of gulls circling above. I'm just making my way up the trail to the parking lot, and yeah, there's some big event going on in the skies behind me. I don't know if I can just get the camera to kind of tune in, or if you can see it. I can't really see it well on the screen. There's a lot of gulls up there, stretching really from one side of this coulee all the way to the other, you know, one cliff end to the next, and who knows how far beyond that either way. I don't know what they're doing up there. Who knows? Secret of the gulls. Oh, yeah, cool place. It's Alexander Wilderness Park. It's going to take me a long time to get to know this place. But hopefully I still got some life left. So I'm going to start visiting more normally now that I live on this end of town. See where it goes.